Good afternoon, everyone. Please be seated. My name's Don Tapscott, and I'm the Chancellor of Trent University, and I'm also an alum. I'm a proud graduate. And I've had more than my share of honors over the years, but I must say I've had no greater honor than to be the first alumni chancellor of this great institution. And I'd like to begin the ceremony today by giving a shout out to Mother Nature and to kind of thanking her for this spectacular day. Could we please bring it on for Mother Nature right now? Thank you. I've been at many convocation sessions in different parts of the world, and I also need to tell you that there is no nicer venue to convocate on planet Earth than what you have right today. Now, some of you who are sitting over there may see there's a couple of little puffy clouds there, but I'd just like to encourage you, be calm. Everything is going to work out okay. I'm one of 4 Tapscott boys who graduated from Trent 2 years in a row, starting in 1970. And I hitchhiked over from Orillia, Ontario, one spring day to check out this new, what was called Oxford on the Autonomy, a small liberal arts and science school in Canada in a beautiful setting. And I got here with a friend, and we decided right on the spot that we were going to come to Trent. And flashing forward almost 50 years, students graduating this week are sharing a very special milestone with us. This convocation, of course, marks the end of the 50th anniversary year. And it's been a great year, and celebrating your graduation is pretty much a perfect way to wrap it up. For 50 years, Trent has been challenging the way that we think, not just about the world, but about learning itself. And today, more than ever, the good news is Trent graduates are in demand. And we'll talk more about that later, but it's all going to work out for you. I know you're wondering, will I get a job? Yes, you will. And it will be related to your field of study. And many of you, in fact, will be entrepreneurs. We'll come back to that. But I know from firsthand experience, sure worked for me, that being a Trent grad, you are uniquely equipped and qualified and prepared for the exciting challenge and future that lies ahead. In fact, you're going to shape it. I mean, my view of the future is that it's not something to be predicted, it's something to be achieved. And with your Trent experience, I believe you have the tools to take advantage of the opportunities around you today, but also to reinvent yourself lifelong, because you're all going to have to do that. I know you think you have a base of knowledge, and you do, but what's really important is your capacity to think critically and to solve problems and to learn and put things into context. And that's what will do you well. It will help you achieve a life of prosperity. And by all means, as Spock said, go forth, live long and prosper. But I'm hoping it will also equip you to live a principled life and one of consequence. So this is your moment. This is your time right now, today, to not only pat yourself on the back, but to imagine, to design a life that's consequential and that's uniquely your own. So heartfelt congratulations to each of you in reaching this important milestone. I now declare the convocation open.
Good afternoon. My name is Leo Groark. I'm the President Vice Chancellor of Trent University. I will share with you that this is my first series of convocations at Trent University. And I was doing some math earlier today just to figure it out in my own brain. figured out that I have now been at 43 convocations, 43 university convocations. And I did want to tell you how much I am enjoying Trent's convocations. And I'm enjoying them because I find them so personal. I am used to a situation at other universities where 500 students walk across the stage and receive their degrees. And in the true spirit of Trent, that's not the way we do things here. We have many different convocations so that we can keep them intimate and small and personal. I'm very pleased to welcome everybody here today. Maybe especially I want to welcome visitors who've come from across Canada and also international visitors. I would let you know that I've been talking to families after the convocations, and so far I've talked to families from Uganda, Australia, Ireland, Lagos, Ecuador, Nigeria, the Netherlands, and the Bahamas. Those of you who are coming from far away, I want to wish you a special welcome. I want to compliment you on your wisdom to visit us now rather than in February. Students know what I'm talking about. I would also like to note that the convocation is being broadcast around the world. So for people who couldn't make it, they still have the opportunity. Maybe it will be 5 a.m. in the morning, but they still have the opportunity to watch convocation. I have a few special guests I would like to introduce and recognize. The first one is Mark Dockstader, a former Trent faculty member who is now the president of First Nations University in Saskatchewan. Mark? I'd also like to introduce two people from the Board of Governors. Ken Armstrong, the Honorary Colonel of the Hastings and Prince Edward Regiment of the Canadian Armed Forces, and Ian Lord. On behalf of the university, I want to acknowledge that we are located in the traditional territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabe, adjacent to the Haudenosaunee territory in eastern Ontario. Especially in a week when Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission will present its findings on the regrettable, or has presented its findings, on the regrettable history of the residential school system, it is important to honor and recognize the traditional occupants of this land. And I will say I'm proud to be at a university that does that and doesn't forget to do it. I want us all to remember today what the ceremony is about. And looking at the graduates, I want to say it's about you. It's about your successes. It's about your accomplishments. There are days in our lives that go by that we don't notice, and then there are special days where we're an important person and people pay attention to us. I'm hoping that this will be that kind of day for you. I want you to soak it up. I want you to not be shy and to enjoy it, because we're here to celebrate your successes. I would say that in celebrating their successes, we're also celebrating the successes of the families and friends and the support people that made their successes possible. To the graduates, on behalf of all the rest of us, I did want to say thank you for allowing us to bask in your glory. I'm trying in the convocations this week each day to highlight some aspect of Trent that I think is significant. I want visitors to go away understanding what a vibrant university this is. I think some of that is reflected in the Chancellor's comments, this being the 50th anniversary. If you like, Trent has arrived. Trent is now an established university, and it's a place that we can be proud of. I want to remind the graduates that there's another anniversary coming up. 50 years from now, it will be the 100th anniversary of Trent University. And I'm expecting you all to be back here to celebrate. I probably can't make it, but please, have a drink for me. What I wanted to highlight today, though, was something different. I wanted to highlight the construction of the Student Center. 2 years from now, on the banks of the Otonabee, just behind the Battle Library here, there will be a new building. It will be the Trent Student Center. In keeping with Trent's tradition, which is a tradition of great architecture, I can tell you it's going to be a beautiful building. It's going to hug the river. There's a real emphasis on windows so that when you're in the building, you'll see the river or you'll see the woodlot to the side. But what I really want to emphasize today is the role that our students played in making this building possible. I think right from the start, really the building can be built because of an initial gift from students, a pledge to give $10 million to the building. But also in picking the architect for the building and working the project through with the Board of Governors. There's also many things to do there. In designing the buildings, students have led every step of the way. And the students today, I think, are in an interesting position because you have designed it and committed to it, but it will be students 2 years from now that start to appreciate and enjoy that building. And I can tell you they are going to thank you for what you have done in that regard. I have one last comment that I want to make to our graduates, and that is I ask you to remember that after you graduate, you're still part of the Trent family, just a different component of the Trent family. You're part of the alumni of Trent University. That's a component which is 44,000 strong. It's international. You'll find Trent people everywhere. I hope you will keep in touch with us. We're certainly interested to hear what you do with the rest of your lives. Now, Mr. Chancellor, I would like to call on Professor Don McCaskill to introduce a special and remarkable individual who we will be recognizing with an honorary Doctor of Laws degree. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chancellor, it's an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce Michael Thrasher for an honorary degree at today's convocation. I've known Michael as a mentor, a colleague, and as friend for almost 40 years. He is a widely respected and recognized Indigenous elder who is considered an authority on Indigenous knowledge, ceremonial practices, and cross-cultural education. The 1970s witnessed the beginning of a cultural and spiritual revitalization of Indigenous people throughout Canada through the reintroduction of Indigenous spiritual ceremonies and philosophies, including the medicine wheel, sweat lodge ceremonies, fasting, and sun dances. The resurgence movement sought to reclaim and to share Indigenous knowledge and to foster healing within the First Nations communities across Canada. Michael was in the forefront of that movement. His life has been dedicated to the learning and sharing of Indigenous knowledge and practice. After apprenticing with elders in Saskatchewan and Alberta and participating in many Indigenous ceremonies such as fasting, sun dancing, he was given the gift of a sacred pipe, an Aboriginal name, and the authority to conduct sacred ceremonies. Since that time, Michael has delivered thousands of hours of educational activities and training workshops in cultural and cross-cultural awareness, Indigenous spirituality, Aboriginal drug and alcohol addiction counseling, recidivism prevention programs, assessment and evaluation tools for Aboriginal programs, and research throughout Canada and in Europe. During his time with Corrections Canada, Michael was one of the first elders instrumental in bringing Indigenous teachings and spiritual ceremonies, often being the first exposure to Indigenous culture, to inmates in federal penitentiaries, thereby contributing to the strengthening of their Indigenous identity and their rehabilitation. He has held various positions and conducted workshops for senior managers at all levels of government and industry in First Nations communities across Canada, as well as Aboriginal organizations, schools, and universities, including, to name a few, the Nietzsche Institute for Alcohol and Drug Education, the Residential School Settlement Board, the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, the Atlantic Conference, the National Native Alcohol and Drug Abuse Program, the Ontario Federation of Indian Friendship Centers, Sir Sanford Fleming College here in Peterborough, and universities of Manitoba, Laurentian, and Western. Michael's association with Trent goes back almost 40 years. He's been a regular participant in the Indigenous Studies Elders and Traditional Peoples Gathering since 1978. Over the years, he has conducted numerous workshops and ceremonies for students, staff, and faculty, including one that I remember well in the late 1970s when we built a sweat lodge on the drumlin behind Lady Eaton College in January, where we had to make holes in the frozen ground for the willows to build the lodge, and we froze as we came into the lodge and left it. He was instrumental in the formation of the Department of Indigenous Studies here at Trent, and he was among the first elders in Canada to bring Indigenous knowledge into the formal academic setting. In doing so, he established the foundational standards for Indigenous academic pedagogy, initiating an entirely unique approach to intercultural dialogue and knowledge creation. In 1999, he was appointed adjunct professor in the Department of Indigenous Studies. He was also involved in the establishment of the first Indigenous Studies PhD program here at Trent, where he continues to teach and supervise PhD students' dissertations. He has had a profound effect on many generations of our students, many of whom have traveled out west and apprenticed with him and become leaders in their community. Mr. Chancellor, for his significant contribution to Indigenous education and community wellness, I have the honor to present to you for the degree of honor, Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, Michael Thrasher.
It's now my privilege to ask Dr. Thrasher to make some remarks to convocation.
Aha, mama yu tawi mau. Hai itsimanato. Hai. Chimigwich. Aya kakio no wako magana. Ai kakio musama, kakio kukamak. Nanaskomat, na mio sin pamatsuin. My Aboriginal protocol expects that before all else, I will say thank you and give gratitude to our ancestors. That being done, I give my greetings and welcomes to everyone here. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, members of the graduating class, faculty, family, and friends. Miasin pisim kisakau. It is a beautiful day. My name is Michael Thrasher. I am Koioit. I am of the Turtle Clan and I come from Victoria, BC. I don't have time to comment on that. It's a wonderful thing to be here. It's a great honor to receive this degree. And I am extraordinarily grateful to the elders who walked on this path before me. Their kindness, their patience, their understanding, their wisdom is the reason I'm standing here today to get this degree. They gave me a great amount of gifts, almost daily when I was with them. I'm carrying one of those gifts today, right here. It's an image of a turtle on a white background, encased in a medicine circle. It speaks of a new beginning and a new life. Part of a creation story of indigenous people here speaks of a turtle, a giant turtle rising up from the depths. When it surfaces, its water washes its back clean. And this land becomes known as Turtle Island. The first peoples there enjoyed its abundant life, and they studied diligently all of that life to build a philosophy that extended from the immensity of the cosmos down to the smallest particle of life. This philosophy was based in an ethical, natural manner. They imaged it, they put it into practice, and it exists today. It is preserved by those bona fide traditional elders who carry this wisdom from generation to generation. And it is their responsibility to assure that its spirit and integrity is kept. Again, I owe great thanks to them. One of the tools for examining this philosophy is called the medicine circle. The medicine circle is a background grid through which we can examine our universe and the laws of nature that govern it. A brief examination of these two words, medicine circle. Medicine, from the Latin root medere, means to cure or to measure. The circle, or the sphere, is the prime geometric shape in all of creation's universal building blocks. Herein lies an understanding of the laws of nature, the web of life, and human interaction with it. My own journey with the medicine circle started when I was a very young man, and I went to consult with an elder, a traditional elder, highly esteemed person. We conducted a traditional lodge ceremony, and he addressed my needs in traditional terms. Being not well educated in such traditional terms at the time, I kept asking him questions, and he kept answering in more traditional terms. And I kept asking questions, and he kept answering in more traditional terms. Finally, seeing that I was sincere, but simply an idiot, he took out a cigarette pack and he opened it up so he'd have paper, and he drew a simple circle on the back of it with 4 cardinal directions marked on it. He placed this gently in my hand, and he said to me, everything you ever wanted to know about the past, about the present, and about the future is written right here. All you have to do is learn how to read it. Now, have a good life and peace of mind. And he walked away. That day began a lifelong journey for me in the search of awareness, understanding, knowledge, and wisdom through one of the most revered symbols of indigenous people in this land. Years later, I had the opportunity to witness an event that spoke to the depth and the understanding of those teachings. I was sitting in my office with my partner, the late Eddie Belrose, in Edmonton, Alberta. We had a consulting company there. We were on the reserve. One morning we were sitting there and there was a knock at the door. Wait a minute, we're on the res, nobody knocks. They just walk in. I went to answer the door. there stood an elder. He introduced himself and where he was from. He was from close by here. And he said he had been sent to us because someone had told him that we might be able to help him locate an elder that he was searching for. We said, oh, certainly, no problem. What's his name? Oh, no, I do not know what his name is. I have no idea. But I do have a description of what he will look like. Ah, okay. We heard the description. We knew immediately who he was speaking of. I went to get him, brought him back. They exchanged a few words, and the elder from here said to our elder, I have a message for you. The partridge has built its nest in a tree, and we have not seen this before. Our elder responded to him and said, that's very nice. Would you like to stay with us for a couple of days? He said, certainly. Early the next morning in our office, there was another knock at the door. I went and answered it again, and here stood another elder from the high Arctic, an Inuk, who said to me, I've been sent here because you might be able to help me find an elder I am searching for. No, I don't know his name, but he will look like, yeah, okay, I'll go get him. Yeah. I brought him back. They exchanged a few words. He said he had a message for him, that the wren had built its nest on the ground, and they had not seen that before. The elder asked if he would stay with us a couple of days, and he said no, he was catching a return flight immediately to go home. A couple of days later, we met with the Ontario elder again, and our elder told us that he would break this down for us in ways that we might understand. He said he was first supposed to meet with 4 pipes. 4 men were coming from 4 different directions. 2 had not shown up. That had meant that those branches of the tree had died out. However, he had enough information from what was left to tell us that the time for truth had arrived, and no longer would truth be hidden. The truth would reveal itself. The most remarkable thing about this is not those words, but the fact that these men traveled 3,000 miles to get to speak to this other man. They didn't know his name. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know that he would actually be there. But they came to an event that was planned hundreds of years ago. This speaks to the depth, the understanding, the commitment, and the responsibility of such knowledge keepers. As my education continued in these traditional ways, I learned the meaning of a word in Cree. The word is Kanata. Kanata, translated, means clean place. It is so much more of a word than its translated idiom or a village upstream from Ottawa. When coupled with the medicine circles and the image of the turtle rising up out of the water, it becomes a worldview, a way of seeing, a way of relating, a way of reasoning, a way of doing. It is a way of being. This way of being has some responsibilities that come with it. The responsibility of caring behavior. Try to do no harm. The responsibility of clear respect. Examine all things from all sides before you make decisions about what you will do. Endearing relationship. We don't own this land. We borrow it from our children and our grandchildren. And empathetic reason. I think, therefore I am. I feel, therefore my genome continues. If I have some words for you graduates today as you leave here, it is a reminder that your Canadian identity is rooted in the word Canada. And it is my sincere desire that each of you, as you walk through this journey of life you start on today, that you will carry your Canada well. Have a good life, a long life, a happy life, prosperous life, and peace of mind. Kakiuno ako maganak, all my relations. Now.
Thank you so much for those words, Dr. Thrasher. Ladies and gentlemen, graduates, we're now going to move to the presenting of students for degrees. I just want to run through how this works so everybody is familiar. The students will be on the chancellor will be, the students will be on my right-hand side here. A dean will read their name. They will walk across the stage where they will meet the chancellor. Graduates, that's your moment of glory. Take your time, enjoy that. Then you will come across the stage further. I'm going to meet you at this side to congratulate you, and you're going to meet Tracy Al-Idrissi. Tracy Al-Idrissi is the registrar of the university. That means she's the official record keeper of the university. When somebody wants to know in the future if you have graduated, they're going to ask her, so treat her very, very well. Now I'd like to ask Professor Holger Hintelmann, the Dean of Science, to present the candidates for degrees.
We ask that you hold your applause until all graduates have received their degrees and have been congratulated by the University Registrar, Tracy Al-Idrissi. Mr. Chancellor, I'm pleased to present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the Honors Program candidates whose names will be read, whom the Senate has duly declared worthy of the honor that they may receive the degree at your hands. Javira Ablaza Bokoluta.
You're the first one up. Enough to make you a little nervous. Hey, what did you study? Sorry? Enjoy some.
Aaron Andrews.
Aaron, congratulations. This is your day. You put it on Twitter and add the
Amy Archer.
Hi, Amy. Congratulations. We're going to take a photo off here. Enjoy it.
Rachel Artuso. Yusuf Bada. Aisha Barmania. Emily Beal. Sarah Beardy. Sarah Bernardi. Crystal Bodermans.
Good job. Let's take a pic here, shall we? Okay, enjoy. Celebrate.
Mary Catherine Bronson.
Congratulations. Good job. This this you hired this guy, photographer? Enjoy.
Hannah Norma Browers.
Good job. Just take a picture here, okay? Put this up. Turn it. Oh, we got another?
Adam Brown.
She's good. Is it Adam? Yes. Congratulations. Good job. Isn't it? Here, we're going to take a picture. Memorialize it. Enjoy, man.
Noman Butt.
Good job. Congratulations. Pick time here. Smile at this guy, too.
That's my brother.
Cassandra Olivia Cagliostro.
Good job, Cassandra. Well done. Just take a picture here. Great. Enjoy. You did it.
Fusang Kai.
Congratulations. Just gonna take a picture. You know this guy in the front row?
Yeah? Oh, okay.
Is that your dad?
Brianna Callahan.
So what's your first name? Brianna. Well done. Let's just get a picture here, shall we? Say cheese. These are the New York Times here. Enjoy.
Rebecca Campbell.
Good job, Rebecca. Well done. Let's take a picture, okay? Love the shoes, too.
Thank you.
So,
Linda Jane Canton.
Linda, congratulations. Let's take a pic. Big smile.
Charlotte Kaza.
Hi, Charlotte. Well done. Good job. Enjoy.
Laming Chu.
Great to meet you. Just going to take a photo. Congratulations.
Emily Elizabeth Clark.
I am. Congratulations. All right. Have fun. Celebrate.
Caitlin Marissa Clark.
Andrew, congratulations. What would you study? Oh, great. I was psych and such.
Shannon Cleary.
Shannon, congratulations. Well done.
Karina Patricia Clendenning.
Rena, well done. Congratulations. Just take a picture. I gotta keep doing this, though. Keep working.
Addison Leland Stewart Claremont.
Edison, congratulations, man. Two good-looking guys, that's for sure.
Lindsay Jade Collins.
Hi, Lindsay. Congratulations. Good. I'd say smile, but I don't think I need to.
Renzo Costa.
Renzo, clearly you're the man.
You're the man.
Okay. Got your fan club here, too. Okay, enjoy. Have
Duncan James Cruikshanks.
fun. Congratulations. Let's take a pic, shall we? Enjoy.
Thank you.
You gotta keep it up, keep working.
Caitlin Marie Curtis.
Yo, Caitlin, good job. Way to go. Big smile. Is this, you hired this photographer, did you?
Yeah.
Good work. Enjoy.
Layla Rainey Andrea Daniel.
Layla, congratulations. Yep, here we are. This guy,
Awesome.
enjoy. Have fun. Too.
Kelly Lynn Luann Davy.
You know those people? We don't have to have them. Security escort. Congratulations.
Zachary Michael Davidson.
Zach, good job. Way to go. Let's take a pic. What would you study?
Anthropology.
Nicole Grace Davis.
Congratulations. Well done.
Brittany Dessau.
Hi, Brittany. Congratulations. You're pretty happy. You deserve to be. Enjoy.
Carly DeCare.
Carly, congratulations. Well done. We're going to take a photo op here for the whole Twitterverse. Why is that person reading an iPad? That's weird.
That's my mom.
Shelby Dubik.
Great to meet you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy. You deserve it.
Mackenzie Elizabeth Martha Egan.
Congratulations. Good job. Put this up on interweb.
Oleana Elliott.
Leanna, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. It's a lot of work. I know.
Yes.
The good news is you get to keep working.
Candace Lynn Ellison.
Congratulations on this popularity. Enjoy. You deserve it.
Alexa Ferguson.
Alexa, congratulations. Let's take a picture. Okay?
Let's do it.
All right. I think it'll look good. What do you think?
I think it looks really
All
good.
right. Tweet it at DTopSky.
Nicole Leah Feiss.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job. Let's get a picture, shall we? Where did you study?
Lovely.
Jessica Finley.
Yeah, Jessica. Congratulations.
This way.
Valerie Ann Given.
Lord, congratulations. Good job. Let's take a picture, okay? All right. I was going to say you should smile, but I don't think that.
Davin Gutman.
Good job. Thank you. Way to go.
Nancy Lilibeth Granados Solis.
Congratulations. Let's take a picture here. What are you pointing at? Good for you. Enjoy.
Emma Lee Sarah Goodrich.
Congratulations. What did you study? That's awesome.
Laura Elizabeth Green.
Laura, congratulations. Well done. Enjoy.
Cornell Gray.
Congratulations. Thank you. What are the two things? That's international.
Erin Madeline Marie Hartmans.
Erin, congratulations. Well done. What'd you take?
Callum John Haslam.
I'm sorry, what's your first name? Cal. Well done. Thank you. Good job. Keep at it.
Christopher Robert Chapman Hopkins.
How are you doing? I'm good. Congratulations. Thank you. Good job. Let's take a pic for the whole interweb here. Enjoy.
Pei Shu.
Congratulations. Well done. Let's take a picture. Enjoy. Have fun.
Deanna Sarah O'Malley Herford.
Deanna, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job. Let's come over here. Smile. You got it? Well done.
Sarah Elizabeth Hutchings.
Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, this guy first. Okay, why is that woman reading an iPad down there? It's very weird, don't you think? Okay, enjoy.
Alexandra Isgarian.
Great to meet you. What'd you study? GS.
Sydney Jacqueline.
Congratulations. Well done.
Abdirazak Jama.
Bro, good job, bro.
Cheryl Ann James.
Let's just take a picture, okay? I'd say cheese, but we don't know.
Christine Jose.
Say cheese. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jongson Ken.
Who are they? Oh, good. Well, congratulations. Let's take a picture. This person wants to. She's from the New York. Yeah. Enjoy, man.
Amy Susanna Keating.
Amy, congratulations. Well done. Keep at it.
Jennifer Kurzweil.
Jennifer, congratulations. Well done. Take a picture here. See the guy holding the right hand down. Enjoy.
Ekaterina Igorevna Karchenko.
Katerina, congratulations. Well done. Picture. I think these people want to pick too. All right, well done.
Bikumusa Kumarlo.
Congratulations. Here. Enjoy, man. You did it.
Leah Marie Kirkland.
Sorry, is it Lee? Way to go, Leah. So keep learning.
Sarah Knowles.
Sarah, congratulations. Picture, photo op time. Enjoy.
Nicola Koyanegi.
Nicola, congratulations. Love the thing. What'd you start? International. You remember?
Jenna Elizabeth Mary Kring.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Just gonna take a picture.
Thank you so
Enjoy.
much.
Celebrate.
Jenna Kyle.
Jenna, congratulations. Good job. Photo op time. You got this paparazzi there. I don't know who she is. You can call security.
Montana Larman.
Montana. Good for you. Enjoy.
Sarah Lavelle.
Sarah, congratulations. Well done. Photo op. Yo, Sarah. Who's the paparazzi? Do you know who she is?
Oh, there she is.
We could call security.
Rochelle Law.
Michelle? Diamonds are sparkling. Okay, let's get a pic here. Enjoy.
Grace Marie Leach.
Grace, enjoy. Congratulations. Who's that guy? I thought he was from the International Press Club.
Janessa Elizabeth Layton.
Vanessa? Congratulations. Let's take a pic here, okay? I don't know why all these people are reading iPads at a convocation.
Megan Denise Leonard.